Hello and welcome to another build video for ESO, Elder Scrolls Online. This is intermediate mag Sorc. I would recommend looking up the easy Sorc before this one, because this is loosely based off that. First I'm going to go with the gear, which makes it an intermediate instead of easy. It's going to be some grinding to get Spinner's gear. Since Somerset procced, the 5/5 bonus is what makes it useful. This is for solo play, not necessarily group play. If you're going to use more group play, then I would recommend Spider Cultist or Netch's Touch. Go with dual lightning staves. Infused with a weapon enchant, keeps it up all the time on both of them, but if you're good enough with your rotation, you can switch your flame staff to Nirnhoned. Using a flame and a lightning staff, so I recommend Alambris. You can use Kina, Scoria, there's other options. I like Alambris, personally. It's just more useful for me. The next set is Julianos. It is a 6-trait crafting from Rothgar, so it may be a little difficult to get, but it adds a lot of spell damage and spell critical. Your gear does not have to be gold. I've used this setup for 8 months now, ranging from blue to purple gear. It was gold only recently. The jewelry, I use spinners, but you can switch your gear around. Just remember 5/5 Juliano spinners. You can use infused on the jewelry trait, which will get more flame resistance. Stage 4 vampirism is a must for the recovery. Then stealthy is kind of nice. The magic recovery is nice, but you do need the flame resistance somewhere. Stage 4 vampire, bonus the thief for the critical strike ratings. You can go mage, but that much magicka isn't going to do much of a difference versus the thief. All your gear in divines. You can go infused on these smaller pieces if you want to squeeze out more magicka, but again, that's not vitally essential. Tri-stat food, because Witch Mother's Brood didn't have enough stamina for blocking and roll dodging. You can use a shit magic pot. Essence of spell powers aren't mandatory, they're useful because of the magic recovery and the spell critical, but shit pots will work just fine. You can use tri-stats if you go Argonian instead of Altmer, get a lot more healing back. That's kind of nice, a little broken. That covers the gear. Next is the skills. You can switch your lightning bar and flame bar however you want. Just have a flame bar and a lightning bar. AoE damage on one, single point on the other. Because of the passives, get all the passives you can. Use your better judgment on some that you may not need, because it's your game. Play how you want. I like to min-max, so I got everything I could to squeeze the most out of this balanced build I could. It is a magic caster, so not a lot of health. Now the bars. Flame bar, Inner Light, Haunting Curse, Crushing Shock, Mage's Wrath, Crystal Frags, and Shooting Star. Shooting Star and Inner Light add about 9% to magicka. Because Bound Aegis is no longer a toggle, you don't have to double bar it. You lose 1% of magicka between the bars, and you get a lot of utility for diversification. Power Surge is the bread and butter of the sorcerer. Have that on all the time. Blockade of Storms. It depends if you want a bigger burst, more chance to do damage, or more chance to have criticals and Power Surge to heal you. You can go Hardened Ward instead of Empowered Ward if you need something to take more damage, but I cast this in between ad pulls and have a shield when I get to the ads. Liquid Lightning, more chance for criticals instead of larger area. Overload bar, I'll show that after the next bar. On the single point bar, that's why everything is on this. Crushing Shock is the toggle. You can use Destructive Clench, I've seen that a lot. My issue with it is that it knocks them out of the AoEs that you've put down, and that's not cool. You want them to be in your AoEs for damage. Now the overload bar. I just use it for utility, but if you can work this into a solid rotation, it brings a lot to the table. If every class had a third bar, I would use it. But other than that, just utility and things that I find useful. Now straight into the champion points. The green tree and the red tree, do how you want. Resistances, you might need more damage over time, like if you're in VMAL, or if you are having troubles in VMA, more flame shock and frost resistance. Use that as your discretion and as you need. The only thing I highly recommend that you get is critical leech, because you're going to be doing a lot of critical damage, and resilient, because it is only 1% of your health, but it's 1% less of your health that you have to worry about healing or getting back. If you're going PvP, get critical resistance. Impen, this buff right here. However you get the critical resistance, do not go there without crit resistance. AoE damage, using some AoE, so split some buff between Thaumaturge and Master at Arms. Definitely summon to Staff Expert. You don't need Exploiter, but it will come in handy if you're over penetrating, like I have spell penetration here, because this is set up for solo play, playing alone without any help. Can take on a few world bosses, most dungeons not vet, definitely, but it's meant to enjoy the story. Increase your critical damage, that's useful. Base damage is better to increase over your critical damage, because when you increase your base damage, you're also increasing your critical damage, which is based off your base damage. 250% of your base damage and added some, so yeah, increase base before critical. That should cover it basically. Now as far as using the rotation, always keep crit surge on. Start with Haunting Curse, switch bars, Liquid Lightning, Light Attack, Blockade, Light Attack, switch bars, Light Attack, Crushing Shock. Cast Crystal Frags in between light attacks as necessary or when you can. Keep Haunting Curse on all the time. With Crit Surge, those are the two main things that will be doing everything for you. And once you're in the execute phase, switch from light attack rotating of the Crushing Shock to Mage's Wrath. Light attack, Mage's Wrath, light attack, Mage's Wrath. And that is the rotation and the build. I hope that this helps you, and it's served me for the last 8 months, and I've enjoyed it, and even so more enjoyed the story because of it. I hope that you guys also have a pleasant time with each other. Let's not be elitist assholes.